Okay, welcome to round one. We've got our feature drafter Ben going up against Sawyer, who's on a red-black sacrifice deck to go against Ben's blue-black control deck. So let's see. First off, it looks like Ben has won the die roll. So let's see. Richard, talk about his
Yep.
opening hand.
Yeah. So Ben, in his opening hand, he has the one he's looking at now. He has two counter spells. He has the Secrets of the Key, Carfell Harbinger, and three lands. So I imagine he's going to keep this one. He can't
Yeah.
cast his Disruption Protocol yet, but I imagine this is a hand he's looking to keep. So we did see his draft. It wasn't. Oh, this was okay. This was a mulligan. Sorry, didn't catch this was a mulligan. So he put the double blue spell on the bottom. Yeah, so we saw his draft. There was a couple directions he could go. He's gone for we got to look at his deck. He's gone for a bit more of a controlling route. So some of his bigger creatures he cut. He's looking to win the game with things like Serpentine Curve and some evasion.
On Sawyer's side of the table, his hand is looking really nice. He's got this ghoul plus
That's a
this
good.
specimen to go with it. And
That's a good
then,
start. That's especially backbreaking
yeah,
on the mulligan here.
oh yeah. And then the rest of his hand is an Act of Treason, the Gelatinous Cube, which just ETB eats a creature, and
Oh yeah.
then Tiger Tribe Hunter to be the sack outlet for the Act of Treason.
So
So
Ben's
and two lands
gonna
to go with it.
ditch his Disdainful Stroke, leaving him with Swamp and Bleed Dry, and he draws another Swamp, which is not that helpful. So he could cast Bleed Dry here if Sawyer plays something that demands it, but looks like it's going to be an uphill battle to come back from the mulligan plus the losing a card from the Mind Leech
Yeah,
pool.
Sawyer. It looks like he's going to foretell. He's got Droven Reinforcements, which he could foretell, or he could spend the 3 mana to bring back the skeleton. Those are his two options for this turn. I think the foretell makes the most sense. Just the skeleton is a bit on the slow side, but we'll see what he goes with.
Yeah. Unless Sawyer plays something that must immediately be killed, which sounds like he's not. He's probably Ben's just going to flashback his Secrets of the Key here.
Mm.
Since the Harbinger makes mana for instant sorceries and foretelling, if I recall. But in this case,
It,
mostly for instants and sorceries in his deck.
certainly handy. So we can really add 3 cards to Ben's hand, and if you do that, this
Yeah.
game looks a lot more even than if you don't.
Yeah, so Ben's continued to draw lands, but he will get to draw 2 cards here, unless, again, a Bleed Dry is something he wants to cast, but he will be able to draw 2 cards.
Yeah, I mean the thing about 10-man Ancestral Recall is it still does draw 3 cards. Here we're gonna. It looks like he's gonna run out. He could cube to eat the Harbinger. That's sort of the tempo play, and then his other plays don't really use up all his mana because he's got a bunch of 3 mana plays here. So it looks like he's gonna go for the cube.
Yeah, makes the most sense. So he could bleed. So he could bleed dry the cube to make sure his guy doesn't die, or he could just draw the cards and bleed dry the cube next turn at a later turn. We'll see what he decides to do here. If he wants to draw the cards now or get rid of the cube immediately.
Yeah, I suspect this is one of those distinctions without a difference. You can
Yeah.
save the 2 damage, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
So
we
he
go.
waited for the attack, so he won't take the 2 damage. Because if he did it right away, then. Okay, so he's drawn a Whispering Wizard, which, with the right series of draws, could get him into the game, but is Sawyer holding removal there?
Sawyer is holding an Act of Treason, but that is not in and of itself removal. He would need to
Yeah.
draw land 5 and then play Tiger Tribe Hunter to have the sack outlet to make that into removal.
Yeah. So this turn, instead of playing the Whispering Wizard, he drew a card, which ended up being a Deadly Alliance, which he could now he can cast with the Harbinger, or just crack one of the one of the clues.
So Sawyer's drawn Spiked Field Hazard, which it looks like he might use to ping off the 1/3 here. I
Yeah.
think I might just play it as land 5 if I were piloting here, just because the value of having Tiger Tribe Hunter down sooner rather than later is fairly high, and the value of that 1/3 over there I think is fairly low. But we'll see what he decides to do.
Yeah. The 1/3 notably has not. I mean, it let him cast the Secrets of the Key from the graveyard, but other than that,
I mean, I
it's
think
not.
if you trade
Yeah.
in that card for an entire other card, and it's tapped for mana once
Yep.
or
So
twice, I
he's
think you're
just
fairly
gonna
happy.
He's just going to grab a card here with his clue and say goodbye to his 1/3.
The upside of this for Sawyer is it does let him use the rest of his mana on either the Dwarven reinforcements or this Hobbling zombie he's about to cast.
Yeah, so here's the Hobbling Zombie.
So Sawyer's got a bit of a tempo edge here. What's Ben got in his
Yeah,
hand
Ben
to fight
has
back against?
Ben. He's casting his Gale Drifter here. He's not going to expose his Whispering Wizard to removal just yet. He probably needs it to win the game. His other card is the Deadly Alliance, and he's going to crack his clue and hopefully be able to claw back with this Whispering Wizard.
Sawyer's gotten a bit punished for the ping play here because his draw was Active Treason number 2, which
Okay.
is fairly dead.
I think
Against,
with all the active treasons, you
without a
just want to
sack
get that Tiger Tribe because we saw he has a few sack outlets, but not infinite.
Exactly.
So,
Tiger Tribe
and-
being a repeatable outlet
Yeah,
might
and
make
not
it one of
many
the more
repeatable,
important
yeah.
cards.
Yeah. So Ben's going to need a really good series of draws here to get out of this, and the cards he has drawn are not very helpful, which was a swamp and contact other plane.
Hmm.
So once again, he
This is
can
really
only
where
do
you're-
one thing this turn because all the things he can do cost 4 or 5 mana.
And the
He's on
backside of
7.
Gale Drifter block non-flyers? I don't remember.
I believe it was just a 2/2 flyer,
Okay.
which is what he's doing, but again, he's not defending himself at a at a rate.
Okay.
Needs to-
And Sawyer's drawn land 5, so that I would expect to see Tiger Tribe come down on this turn.
Yes. Ben definitely doesn't want to draw a land, but if he does, he'll be able to cast the Whispering Wizard and the Deadly Alliance at a discount. So, despite the fact that he needs more spells, that wouldn't be the worst thing that can happen.
So does he know Tiger Tribe is essentially a must kill, or is there a creature he might run out into this hoping to block with it? And
The
then
only creature he has in
getting
his hand is a Whispering Wizard,
Okay.
which he's
So I
not
think
going to send out. He has a Way Down and a Deadly Alliance, so he might just use that to use those to get 2 creatures off the board.
Hmm.
Unless,
I can't
unless he
imagine-
does he have a creature in his graveyard though? Because the Harbinger
was there,
got exiled to the Spikefield Hazard
Why does he need a creature in his graveyard?
for the Way Down.
True. And then the answer is he does not have a creature in his graveyard, it looks
Okay.
like. He's just passing. Interesting. Yeah, and I think Sawyer's last draw is probably going to close out the game here when it comes down, because unless he doesn't play it because he's dodging a counter spell. But it's a Diregraph Horde is the third card in his
Ooh,
hand.
that,
now.
yeah,
And
that's a lot.
that's just
of
a lot of
bodies.
bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sawyer's deck, I think, did more or less what it was, what it was wanting to do. Ben's deck did not do exactly what it is it was wanting to do. The
Yeah, all these
mulligan
spells
and
that
then
make-
the exile card from hand was
Yeah,
hard
all
to
the
commit.
spells that make multiple bodies are just sort of adding up to overwhelm the 1-for-1s available on Ben's side of the table.
Yeah, which is what I was mentioning during the draft, was that 1/1 removals have gone down in value in recent years, I would say, just because of how many cards, even at common, just are 2-for-1s nowadays. So he's drawn 2 creatures he can cast. He has a Covetous Castaway and a Whispering Wizard, because he has to play them to not die, but if there's an active treason, then that's not going to work either. And the Way Down is just rotting
Just
away.
totally dead.
Yeah, it was dead before, and it's not going to be working this game. Yeah, the Way Down, perhaps in his spell-focused deck, not being optimized.
I mean, normally having one creature in the bin isn't the highest burden in the world, but
Yeah.
it's really biting him here.
Yeah, and I mean, we just see, like, nowadays they just tack on exile to a lot of removals. He doesn't want to show him
It's
the
like he's
Whispering
going to
Wizard.
scoop it up.
Yeah, he doesn't want to show him the Whispering Wizard because that's one of his main win cons.
Gotcha.
So he wants to leave Sawyer with as little information as possible about his deck.
What are you looking for out of the sideboard for him?
not sure exactly what he is wanting here. I mean, I'm a bit surprised that he didn't play, that he's not playing the, I can't recall the name, but it's the lifelink elf that mills 3 when it dies.
Home is faithful.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not running that because it feeds his serpentine curves pretty nicely.
Mm.
And is pretty good defensive creature, but see what he's thinking about here against his black red. I guess what he thinks is a go wide deck. Basically, that's what he saw. Yeah, and Sawyer didn't really even have to show him like any of his better cards here. He just played a bunch of. I don't even think he played a removal. So Sawyer is like Sawyer's deck is still like kind of well hidden as far as
Maybe he played
how
the
powerful it can
Spikefield
be.
Hazard,
Yeah,
I guess, but that's about it.
he's looking at Turgrid's Shadow and probably not being too pleased
Oh,
about
because of all
that.
the decayed tokens. Yeah, that does make sense, I
Yeah,
suppose.
we'll
On
see if he sides it out here. He's just hasn't made any adjustments yet. Not seeing too much in the sideboard that seems to be a significant upgrade. Like I said, I think the Coma's Faithful is just a card that he would want generally. He's taking out the Way Down, I guess, based
mm,
on taking out the Turgrid Shadow, which was what I was suspecting.
on Sawyer's
Any
side of
notes
the
about Sawyer's sideboarding?
yeah, so he's taken out one of the active treasons and put in the Mind Rot from Zendikar that also drains for 1 and exiles. Or it either drains for 1, and forget if it exiles the bin or not. But he put
Yeah,
in that one.
yeah, we did note that the active treasons were not going to be as good against what he's
He's
doing.
also taken out the Pillar Drop Warden and is going to add. It looks like Fang Blade Brigand is the card he's
Okay,
hovering.
the Pillar Drop is
In
the one
number
that
two of
gets back a
those.
spell, right?
Yeah, so it's a defensive creature. So this makes sense. He realizes that he's the beatdown and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
putting in some more aggressive creatures.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So Ben has submitted his deck and waiting on Sawyer.
Sawyer's hovering one
Yeah,
last edition here.
yeah. Like I said, Sawyer's deck is still like pretty well hidden as far as the things it's capable of doing. Like he didn't have to show any bombs, didn't except for the spike field no removal, didn't show any of the active treasons. So just kind of looks like a black red go wide deck to Ben, which was difficult enough to deal with there without all the added other things he doesn't know yet. So might be an uphill climb here, but we'll see how the starting hands shake out. So what's Sawyer's last decisions here?
He's he's thinking about what his last card is and whether or not he should bring in first day of class to go learn one of his 3 lessons.
Yeah, he
He's
does
got
have 3
Inkling Summoning.
lessons: Inkling
Yeah.
Summoning and Annihilation and Prophecy,
So
I
if
believe.
you're on the beatdown, right, first day of class, the fail case is you play it, get Inkling Summoning, and then cat make a 3/2 flying haste for 5 mana, which isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not that
I
good,
guess.
but it's not that bad, I think.
Yeah, I think he just wants to be aggressive, and first day of class kind of lets him do that. And hey, it's in his opening hand.
Yeah, so Ben's going to be able to defend himself a bit better here. He has a couple 3-drop creatures and a Gale Drifter to go along with the Secrets of the Key. So he's going to be able to defend himself. He's going to be able to draw a card here and then start deploying his creatures without falling too far behind.
Sawyer's hand isn't putting on that much pressure to your
So
life total,
Elderfang
but
Disciple here, he's going to draw a card first before discarding one of the 3 islands in his hand. Alternatively, he could have discarded the Gale Drifter, as it being has Disturb, but
Hmm.
I think he'd just rather keep all his spells for now. So
notably
he's gonna.
Sawyer,
Yeah.
notably Sawyer only swamps, not a
Okay.
mountain in
So
sight.
he's off of red. How much of his hand can he cast?
He can cast all but 2 cards, so I
Okay.
think that's why he kept it. He had a predominantly black hand and swapped only swamps, so he can still do things for a few turns.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Ben's just going to be able to play out his creatures, reasonably. None of them are that great, but yeah, might get the job done. So he's
Are
drawing
there
a
any
Serpentine Curve, which he won't be casting for a while.
are there any creatures in Ben's hand that are like above curve or targets worth hitting? Okay,
Right
it
now,
looks
he just has the Mistwalker and the Elderfang Disciple that he drew, as well as the
okay.
Serpentine Curve. So
So we've got a decently sized piece of a swing point here because the Sawyer's hit his mountain, so that means he can play and the gelatinous cube if he so chose, which would likely eat the Gale Drifter, which is a
Yeah.
way to get around the backside of it.
Yeah, and there's no
If
removal right now in hand for
Okay, that
Ben.
was what I was about to ask.
Just
So
creatures.
he got the cube cut out from under him last time, so maybe he'll be a bit gun shy on it this time around, and might opt to go with another line, which would be either Investigator's Journal, drawing a card would be the most likely one.
Yeah, I imagine he does want to put something into play though.
He's
If he
also
goes, because if he
hovering.
goes Investigator's Journal and then Sawyer removes the hobbling zombie, he gets to attack for 5 and get a little bit of value from the dungeon. So imagine.
He's hovering first day of class for a reason I don't really understand. I guess it would let him put a counter on his persistent specimen that he has in hand, and then get some card out of the sideboard. But
So
okay,
he's
he's
just
just
going
going
to
to
offer up
swing.
hobbling zombie for one of these creatures.
Which one do you think he should trade with, if any?
Uh, I don't think the Fangblade's going to be getting in anytime soon, based on what you said. Sawyer's doing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he doesn't want to block Fangblade with Cube or Elder Fang right now. And it looks like Sora's deciding which one to take. And yeah, the Venture, it depends how scared you are of Venture, because yeah, Gildrifter's scary card, but he's going to get a Venture
He's gone
trigger
for
here.
the yeah. He's taking away the guaranteed damage here.
Yeah, I think that is probably reasonable, but it has a cost, which is Ben's going to get to scry one, presumably.
So I imagine Sawyer's going to, or Ben's going to cast his Mistwalker and Elderfang Disciple now.
This attack here, scrying one, I think, just makes the attack with the Hoplane Zombie be a mistake. Because I don't think the 2 damage was that worth it.
He's deciding on whether he wants a Novice Occultist on top. I don't think he does, and he agrees with that. So he's just going to.
He's still got lands to hit in there.
He has a land in hand. He's going to be able to cast a Mistwalker this turn as well. So he's going to be able to put.
This
two
isn't
things
going to
into
work out
play.
very well because you can just pitch that skeleton of his. Yeah.
And here's a 1/4. So his
Sure.
blocks are pretty bad here. Can't really block either creature.
So Sawyer's drawn his second act of treason, and it's not looking so hot.
Yeah. This is not the active treason opponent. This is not the opponent that you want to face with your active treasons.
He can choose to cast the one that has slight upside for vampires, or the one that has slight upside for making a blood token, or the one that has slight upside for werewolves, or the one that has slight upside for making a blood token. It's really his choice, or neither. Look, he's just going to swing with these 2, and that means that, based on what I see in here, Ben's most likely going to get another scry off, or another venture off with
He'll
the
get
Fangblade.
a goblin or a treasure, right?
Yeah, I mean the goblin's not irrelevant here. Like it can.
No, he's going to leave
help
back
you.
the hobbling. Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
It's not in Sawyer's interest to let the Fangblade attack freely. Okay,
So Sawyer's just going to draw a card here.
Okay.
Trying to hit land number 5. Doesn't get there.
So another land for Ben. I don't imagine he's going to cast a Serpentine Curve for 2. So he's just going to cast Secrets of the Key and then draw a card.
Well, then he's on casting Serpentine Curve for 1, which is
does Serpentine Curve count for exile? I can't recall.
It might actually. Let me check.
Some of them do now. So
it does count exile. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think they started that with Crackling Drake back in Guilds of Ravnica. And since then,
Right,
they've pretty consistently
Outstart,
been
so
adding. They've been pretty consistent about adding that extra text to cards they care about, spells.
So he's going to cast first day of class here.
Is he just going for the flyer?
He can get the Inkling summoning, he can get Intro to Annihilation or Intro to Prophecy.
Does
It
he
looks
have
like he's
does he
grabbing.
have a different creature to cast to get the
Yeah,
haste
the
and the
other
counter?
option is he could give it to the Foreboding Statue, which is the mana dork that flips into a bigger thing. But instead,
Yeah,
he's just going to make a 3/2 flyer,
it's just the 3/2
which
doesn't attack through
is
anything.
reasonable.
So
Do you attack with the 4/3 here and risk the,
no,
I
he's
don't know,
just
the
gonna
Blade Brand? Or...
he's just gonna play it safe for the time being.
Hmm.
I mean, Mistwalker can pump to trade, right? Okay,
Oh,
yeah, get up
that's
to
a
3
very good
power.
point.
So he's drawn. I imagine he's going to spend his turn casting these creatures that he's just drew, which are Seafloor Stalker, Patrician Geist, which will pump his Mistwalker. And
Well, you look at that.
and a
The
Seafloor
synergies.
Stalker, which already has 3
Oh,
party
wow.
members in play. So
It's a rogue.
the Disciple is a wizard, and the Mistwalker fits into one of the other shoes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that
So
was one of
that's
the
your
cards he
block
sided in.
now.
That was a card he sided in. Just
That's your clock
after
now
seeing
for
all
Sawyer
those
to deal with.
after seeing a swarm of 2/1 and 2/2 tokens, he sided into 3 mana 2/3.
Gotcha. So Sawyer's hand right now, he's got a shock as his latest draw, but that doesn't really give him a way to apply pressure through the board that Ben has. Because those active treasons, like even if you take a creature for a turn, you still don't have a ton of good attacks suddenly. I think here he should just, play the mana dork to get it closer to when it can flip. And because you're going to start by drawing a card.
Yeah,
Which
might as
is
well draw a
reasonable.
card. If all of his plays are like
Yeah.
extremely medium, then
So then I
drawing a
can play
card
the
is a
dork
good
and hold up
option.
the shock, which is quite good actually, holding up shock. Yeah, I feel like the Patrician Geist is going to get shocked fairly shortly, but we'll see if anything else happens before then. And he still hasn't actually devoured the creature under the cube, so we're kind of running a timer here on Ben drawing some hard removal for it.
Yeah, he's drawn a aberrant mind sorcerer, but don't believe he has any spells in his graveyard. The only spell was exiled, I believe, which was his flashback spell.
I see. So do you think he starts just? I mean, if that's 1 in a blue to be unblockable and pump, right? Do you think he starts doing that now, or is it too early?
Doesn't have too much else to do, right? He can his other choice is make a 4-mana 2/2. So one of those things is way better than the other. He doesn't really have any other great attacks though, aside from the potential unblockable.
Right, and does he need the 2/3 as a blocker? I mean, it blocks the 1/1 and the Decayed token, I suppose, which isn't that exciting.
Yeah, he has to start making inroads here at some point. Because his hand is not doing anything, because he has a Serpentine Curve and a 5-mana 3/4 with presently no text.
Yeah, he doesn't know how bad from a value point of view Sawyer's hand is. Like the fact that he's got 2 1-for-0s in the active treasons, which if they aren't killing your opponent aren't getting you a card.
Yeah, so he's taking...
He doesn't know that. He's just got 2 cards.
He's taking his chance to just get in some guaranteed damage.
It's interesting because this does, if he shocks the Geist end of turn, then his opponent's got 2 creatures untapped, and he's got 2 active treasons, and that math actually works out pretty well for a big attack.
No, it looks like it would be.
Maybe 5, 11. It would be exactly lethal. Oh no, it would not be because
the Mistwalker would lose.
The Mistwalker's a 1/4, so it'd be 1 off.
All right, let's see what he does with this turn here. If he just
Ooh, that draw answers a lot of questions though.
Okay.
That's we're going to see a good card hit the table here, assuming he casts it. I'm trying to build suspense.
Well, he said he has 2 active treasons, so it's 2 active treasons and a mystery good card in hand.
Exactly.
So let's see how he decides to proceed. As you said, the 2 active treasons is not lethal, but it's enough to make him very dead the next turn, potentially.
So. Well, I mean, he would have 3 blockers again, and he'd be down the Decay token. So he'd be one card away from stabilizing, right? So it's risky to take that line.
We shall see. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, Ben definitely, not seeing any active treason in the first game doesn't know how close he might be to dying.
Yeah. Well, I don't. There's no particular reason to expect your opponent to have two of them in hand.
Yep. Well, once you see that your opponent has multiple copies, you end up playing quite a bit differently after. So here's this this Jinju, which is gonna make life even more difficult for Ben.
Yeah, that might unfortunately kind of close the game out in a much more boring way
Yeah,
than
he needed
have
he
to do
needed a
math.
bleed dry. Bleed dry would have been the right draw here to get that off the board because
What do you get instead?
he got a zombie ogre, which was another card he sided in the 5 mana 3/5 with
I mean,
end
that's a good
step
answer to the ground
with a
creatures.
potential end step venture trigger. Yeah, those were cards he sided in over Turgid's Shadow, and can't recall what the other card he sided out was, but
Oh, wait a minute. Last turn, if Sawyer had shocked the 1/1, then he can active treason Mistwalker and the Spirit, and that would have been lethal.
sure.
I think.
Well,
Well,
either way, looks like Sawyer's getting close to closing out the game here.
yeah, there's just uh, the
Drawing
value
cards
advantage is
slow.
substantial enough. Yeah.
So
Oh,
now the
hey, you
journal
know what?
can scry, but I don't think that's
uh,
mattering much.
so Sawyer's drawing active treason number 3 now. Just,
Well, if he had 9 mana, that would end the game. But
yeah.
I think he's just gonna go for almost dead here.
The most you can block on the ground is 4, and you're attacking.
Yeah, no, he knows.
Just scrying.
He sees
Yeah.
it now.
Okay.
All right, so a tough round here for our feature drafter Ben.
Yeah, a dominant performance for Sawyer.
I guess we could go see if there's another match going on that we could.
I think, judging by everybody being in the chat here, I would guess they're all done. Chris, can you confirm this is TO?
That's the round.
All right, so
I'll be
that's gonna
posting
wrap
the
us up.
round
Yeah.
2 matches here shortly.
So that's going to wrap us up for round 1. So next video will be round 2.